Welcome and congratulations. If you are listening to this, you have already moved through the first 3 levels. That alone tells me something important about you. You have been willing to look inward, to question familiar explanations, and to take responsibility where most people turn away. In level 1, you discovered something both unsettling and freeing. That emotional pain does not come from others or from life itself, but from how we interpret what happens. In level 2, you explored how avoiding uncomfortable feelings often creates even more suffering, and how pausing, staying, and not reacting immediately can be an act of care rather than weakness. In level 3, the focus deepened into relationships, safety, and emotional needs. You began to see how much of our behavior is shaped by a need to feel secure. Now, you have arrived at level 4. Here, we go deeper. How your brain tries to predict what will happen next, and how your body responds to those predictions even if they are not the reality. This is where you begin to see, very concretely, how much influence you have over your stress, your reactions, and your inner state. Let's begin.
May I ask, where do feelings really come from? It often feels like they come from what other people do, or from what happens to me.
I understand that it can feel that way, but what you feel is not primarily caused by others or by anything outside of yourself. They are your body's reaction to your thoughts, to how you interpret what's happening.
So, you're saying that what I think creates what I feel?
Indeed. Your body reacts to the meaning you give and not to events themselves. That's why 2 people can be in the same situation and feel completely different.
Something in me recognizes that this could be true.
Your thoughts are largely shaped by what you believe, what you hope for, what you fear might happen, and by what you've experienced before. Most of the time, your mind is predicting what might happen next.
So my thoughts and my mind are almost like my eyes, trying to see what's coming.
Exactly. And your body prepares itself based on those predictions. That's why responsibility matters. Not as blame, but as your freedom. Your body doesn't know what is actually happening, and what is only produced by your imagination.
I begin to see that.
Do you see how easily you can mislead your own body?
Wow, yes. I do.
Do you realize that in just a few seconds, you can move from calm and ease into stress, simply by changing your thoughts?
I didn't understand how much responsibility I have when it comes to my thoughts.
Did you know that your body reacts in exactly the same way, whether something is really happening, or whether you're only imagining it?
I didn't know that. That's really interesting. Why didn't we learn this in school? It feels like so much suffering and stress is unnecessary, just because we haven't learned to take responsibility for our thoughts.
You're right about that.
So my feelings make sense. They have a kind of logic, even when they are uncomfortable.
They always make sense, once you see the thoughts or experiences that created them. Let's try a small experiment. Close your eyes. Take a slow breath in through your nose and gently out through your mouth. Now imagine your favorite dish. Can you see it in front of you? Notice the smell, the warmth, the anticipation. Notice what begins to happen in your body. How does it feel? In your body and within you, as you imagine this delicious food?
I can see it, and almost smell it.
Good. And when you notice how your entire body is preparing to enjoy it, we can take one step further.
Yes, I see the food clearly now. I don't just feel hungry. My mouth starts to water, and my body prepares itself to enjoy the meal.
Now, take a closer look. Do you notice something has changed? There's something moving in the food. Something long. Slimy.
That's awful. Disgusting. I feel sick. I don't even want to sit at this table anymore.
Notice what happened in your body. Really notice it. Do you feel the difference?
Oh yes, like night and day. From enjoying and anticipating something wonderful, to feeling disgust and alarm throughout my whole body.
Compare the two moments. Nothing in reality changed. Only your thought. Yet your body reacted immediately.
You're right. It was nothing but my thoughts.
This reveals something essential. Your body does not respond to what happens, but to what you think, or to what your brain believes is going to happen. To your body, it makes no difference whether something is happening now, happened in the past, or never happened at all. You cannot worry, think negatively, or imagine threatening situations just for fun, without affecting your body. Thoughts and body form one system. They cannot be separated.
I'm a bit confused, but also excited.
Let me ask you something. Do you believe that the more you worry, the less likely it is that what you don't want to happen will actually happen?
Part of me understands that I shouldn't worry, but I still do.
If worry truly protected you, we would probably be taught in school how to worry as effectively as possible, wouldn't we? Or have you ever prevented something from happening simply by being afraid that it might? Next time worry arises, try this. Intensify it. See how worried you can manage to be. Really try to show the whole village how good you are at worrying. This is called a scheduled worry time. And when you deliberately maximize worry for about 30 minutes, the brain often gets tired of it. And you may notice the worry begin to decrease.
That's interesting. I'll try that next time I worry. You said earlier that the brain doesn't just react to reality, that it predicts instead. Can you explain that?
Yes. Your brain is constantly guessing what might happen next. It does this by using memories, past experiences, learned associations, and interpretations of what your senses register. And it's important to remember: interpretations, not truths. Almost everything is, to some degree, a guess.
So the brain isn't really reporting reality. It's guessing and predicting it?
Exactly. And those predictions are strongly shaped by how you tend to think, by your history, and by what you expect or fear. Your body then prepares itself based on those predictions.
So that's why bodily reactions or stress can become very strong, even when the situation itself isn't that serious, or when the whole event didn't even exist.
Yes. To your nervous system, what you imagine as dangerous or remember as dangerous can feel just as real as an actual threat.
So my reactions aren't random. They are learned, shaped by how I've interpreted past experiences. Almost like self-made programming. And also to a very large extent shaped by how I choose to relate to things now.
That's very well put. And with that knowledge, you can make a big difference to your health if you choose to become more aware of how and what you actually think.
I see. So my reactions and my thoughts are actually my mind's attempts to protect me. Even if those attempts sometimes turn against me or harm my well-being. When I don't consciously choose how I think and how I relate. That makes me feel less ashamed. And helps me understand myself better.
As it should. Understanding and compassion can replace judgment and unnecessary shame. And indeed, it really is a kind of programming. But it's programming you can influence, adjust, and even reprogram.
So I can actually influence how my brain predicts. And therefore my stress levels, not by trying to control myself, but through awareness, choice, and understanding?
Exactly. And that's why I ask you this. Are your thoughts in control of you? Or are you in control of your thoughts? Or at least of how you relate to them, and to yourself when they appear?
That's a very good question. I don't know. But I will think about it. So well-being isn't really about controlling thoughts or feelings, but about understanding them, accepting them, and choosing how to relate to them, consciously?
Yes. That's the shift. And to realize that you are not your thoughts. Which opens the possibility of observing them. And choosing how and what you think, instead of living on autopilot, without awareness, where your thoughts control you. And in the next episode, we will explore a deeper question. Who is it that is actually thinking? Or, who is it that is aware that thinking is taking place?
That sounds very interesting. But, why do some emotions or thoughts hurt so much? Why can they make me feel so bad?
Often, it's not the emotion or the thought itself that hurts. It's the resistance to it, the urge to control it, to push it away, or to avoid it. And it's also about how you meet yourself when it appears.
So the suffering isn't in what I feel, but in how I relate to it?
Indeed. When you resist what you feel, judge yourself for it, or try to make it disappear, the pain often increases. That's why I mentioned an exercise earlier. One that may sound a bit paradoxical. Instead of resisting certain thoughts or feelings, you deliberately intensify them. And often, to your surprise, when you truly engage in this maximization exercise, those thoughts or feelings begin to lose their grip.
That sounds counterintuitive. Why would that help?
Because resistance gives your thoughts and feelings power and feeds suffering. When you stop resisting, the nervous system can relax. Remember the image of water wanting to flow at its own pace, and what happens when you try to stop it with your hands.
I really value the way you use metaphors, like the one you just mentioned about water flowing at its own pace, and how difficult it becomes when I try to stop or control the flow by force. It helps me understand how I've tried to control certain thoughts and emotions that feel uncomfortable.
That means a lot to me, because even remembering a little of this in your everyday life can make a big difference. But let's continue. When you experience intrusive thoughts, worries, or thoughts you desperately want to get rid of, try this. Write them down. Every thought, without filtering or correcting. Keep writing until you've filled at least one full A4 page. Then read the thoughts out loud and record yourself on your phone. After that, put the recording on repeat and listen to it for at least 1 hour. I promise, something interesting will begin to happen. But only if you truly commit to doing the exercise.
I'll try that next time I notice that I'm getting stuck in certain thoughts, ruminating, or worrying so much that it affects my body and my sleep. So, I can actually be okay, even when I have a painful emotion or a disturbing thought.
Indeed. Because your well-being is not determined by what you feel or think, but by how you meet yourself in that moment, and by whether you choose to guide your thoughts instead of being guided by them.
That feels relieving. I understand better now that I can choose how I relate to what I feel. But can I really choose how I relate to my thoughts?
Yes. You can't stop thoughts from appearing. But you can choose whether to believe them, follow them blindly, or let them pass without giving them power over your life.
So I don't have to treat every thought as truth?
Definitely not. A thought is simply something that happens. It's not a truth. It only has the meaning and power you give it.
That feels freeing.
It is. Freedom begins with awareness, and with the ability to observe yourself and your thoughts. That observation creates space, and space creates choice. And your freedom is in your choice.
So freedom isn't about controlling thoughts?
No. Trying to control thoughts often creates more tension. Freedom is about noticing thoughts, questioning them, and choosing how to relate to them, and to yourself when they appear.
So well-being isn't about never having difficult thoughts or feelings, but about not being ruled by them?
Exactly. Let's try something simple. Pause for a moment. Notice what you're thinking right now. Don't change anything. Just observe. Gently say to yourself, "These are thoughts I'm having. They are not the whole truth. They are not who I am. They have no meaning other than the meaning I choose to give them." Now notice your body. What changes when you relate to your thoughts this way? Why this matters? Freedom begins when you can observe your thoughts instead of being merged with them.
I feel more space. Like I don't have to react immediately.
That space is mental flexibility. And mental flexibility is what makes life easier. Life is not about controlling every thought, it's largely about adapting. And when too much importance is placed on analyzing thoughts, they can actually become harder to question. Not because they are true, but because they are treated as meaningful by default. I'm not saying this to create fear. I'm saying it to invite awareness and freedom. If you ever choose therapy, you may want to ask yourself, does this approach give more power to my thoughts, or does it help me become aware of them, so that I can use them instead of being used by them?
That feels important.
The more clearly you see that you are not your thoughts, the more space you create between yourself and them. And the more space you have, the more freedom you gain.
Congratulations. By listening to this, you've invested in your life and well-being. Bring what you've heard into your everyday life, and notice how much lighter life becomes when you guide your thoughts, instead of being guided by them. If you'd like to go deeper, you can find the full series Love Unconditionally here on YouTube, completely free. And if this video gave you something valuable, please consider liking it or leaving a comment. That helps others find this video and supports this work more than you might think. Thank you for being here.